The aftermath of the battle left the station quiet, its halls filled with a mix of relief and exhaustion. The crew gathered in the common area, their faces pale but determined. Outside the windows, the glowing ships of Zira's people hovered silently, their presence a reminder of how far they had come. For the first time in weeks, there was a sense of calm, a fragile peace that felt almost surreal. Zira sat among them, her skin glowing softly as she listened to the hum of conversation. Her eyes moved from one face to another, taking in the humans who had risked everything for her. "You saved me," she said finally, her voice trembling. "Not just my life, but my hope. I thought I was alone, but you showed me I am not." Mia smiled gently, reaching out to touch Zira's hand. "We couldn't have done it without you either. You're part of us now." Jake, who had always been the most skeptical, let out a low chuckle. "Yeah, well, don't get used to it. I'm still not signing up for any alien fan clubs." His words drew laughter from the group, breaking the tension. Even Zira grinned, her glow brightening slightly. "I think I can live with that," she teased. The elder from Zira's people approached the group later that day. His expression was solemn but kind as he addressed Alex and the others. "Your bravery has earned our respect," he said. "But this fight is far from over. The hunters will regroup. They will return stronger." Alex nodded, his jaw tightening. "Then we'll be ready. We've proven we can stand together. That gives us an edge." The elder studied him for a moment before speaking again. "There is another way. A message must be sent, not just to warn others, but to unite them. Your species, ours, and all those who seek peace. We must join forces against fear and hatred." Lily's eyes lit up at the idea. "A shared future," she murmured. "That's amazing." Zira stepped forward, her voice firm. "Let me help. Let me speak for both our peoples. If we can show others what we have built here, maybe they will listen." The elder placed a hand on her shoulder, pride evident in his glowing features. "You are wise beyond your years, Zira. Very well. We will broadcast your message across the stars." Over the next few days, the crew worked alongside Zira's people to craft the transmission. It combined human languages, Zira's melodic tones, and visual patterns of light that conveyed emotion and meaning. The message was simple but powerful. Fear divides us. Courage unites us. Together, we can build a better future. When the signal was ready, Zira stood at the center of the control room, her hands resting on the console. Her skin shimmered brighter than ever, pulsing with energy as she sent the message out into the vastness of space. The crew watched in silence, their hearts pounding with anticipation. As the signal faded, Lily broke the quiet. "Do you think anyone will hear it?" Zira turned to her, her expression soft but confident. "They will. And even if only a few listen, it will be enough. Change always starts small." In the weeks that followed, the station became a symbol of unity. Representatives from distant colonies began arriving, drawn by the message and eager to learn more about the alliance between humans and Zira's people. Some came cautiously, unsure of what to expect, but they left inspired by the courage and cooperation they witnessed. For Zira, the transformation was profound. She no longer saw herself as a lost survivor, but as a bridge between worlds. She spent hours teaching the crew about her culture while learning about theirs, forging connections that transcended language and biology. As the station drifted through the endless expanse of space, Alex stood in the observation deck, staring out at the stars. Zira joined him, her glow casting a warm light across the room. "What happens now?" she asked quietly. Alex smiled, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "Now we keep going. We've started something here, something bigger than any of us. And as long as we stick together, there's no telling how far we can go." Zira nodded, her heart swelling with hope. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew they would face them side by side. Together, they had found a new purpose, a shared future built on trust, courage, and the belief that even in the darkest corners of the universe, light could still shine. The days that followed were a mix of anticipation and anxiety. The crew worked tirelessly to prepare the station for the arrival of Zira's people, knowing the hunters could appear at any moment. Alex divided tasks among the group. Jake reinforced the station's defenses, Maya stocked up on medical supplies, and Lily continued studying Zira's energy patterns to improve their communication systems. Zira herself spent hours by the transmitter, sending updates to her people and receiving faint but hopeful responses in return. Despite their efforts, tensions ran high. Jake paced the corridors, muttering under his breath about how risky it was to involve outsiders, even if they were Zira's kind. What if they don't come alone? He asked during one of their meetings. What if they bring trouble instead of help? They're not like the hunters, Zira said firmly, her glowing skin brightening with conviction. My people value peace. They will not harm you. Alex nodded in agreement. We have no choice but to trust them. If we can unite our strengths, we might stand a chance against those chasing us. Lily chimed in, her tone optimistic. And think about it. This could be bigger than just surviving. It could be a chance for humans and Zira's people to work together, to learn from each other. Jake rolled his eyes but didn't argue further. Even he couldn't deny the flicker of hope growing within the group. A week later, the first sign of Zira's people appeared on the scanners, a fleet of sleek, glowing ships emerging from the depths of space. Their designs were unlike anything the crew had ever seen, elegant and organic, as if they were alive. As the ships approached, Zira gasped, tears streaming down her shimmering face. It is them, she whispered. They are here. The largest ship docked with the station, and a delegation of aliens stepped aboard. They looked similar to Zira, with glowing skin and large expressive eyes, but their presence was calm and commanding. One of them, taller and older than the rest, stepped forward. His voice resonated like music as he spoke, though his words were translated through Zira's energy field. We heard your call, he said, bowing slightly to Zira. You have endured much. We are proud of you. Zira bowed her head in respect. I did not do it alone. These humans, they saved me. They'd fought beside me. The elder turned his gaze to the crew, studying each of them carefully. Then you are allies, he said finally, and we thank you for protecting one of ours. Alex stepped forward, extending a hand cautiously. We're glad to help, but the hunters, they're still out there. If we don't stop them now, they'll keep coming after Zira, and anyone else who stands with her. The elder nodded gravely. We know of their cruelty. They fear what they do not understand, but we are ready to fight. Together, we will end this. With the arrival of Zira's people, the station transformed into a hub of activity. Weapons systems were upgraded using alien technology, and defensive strategies were planned in detail. The crew marveled at the efficiency and precision of Zira's kind, while her people showed equal curiosity about human ingenuity. For the first time, there was a sense of unity, a shared purpose binding two very different species. But the hunters weren't far behind. Scans revealed their fleet closing in fast, larger and more aggressive than before. Panic threatened to creep in, but Alex kept everyone focused. This is it, he said during a final meeting. No turning back. No second chances. Let's show them what happens when you mess with us and Zira's people. As the enemy ships entered range, the combined forces of humans and aliens prepared for battle. Zira stood alongside her new family, her glow pulsing with determination. She glanced at Alex, who gave her a reassuring nod. Ready? He asked. She smiled faintly, her voice steady. Always. The battle began moments later, lighting up the darkness of space with bursts of energy and streaks of light. It was chaotic and intense, but the alliance held strong. Zira's people unleashed powerful energy fields that crippled the hunters' weapons, while Jake and Alex coordinated counterattacks with pinpoint accuracy. Amidst the chaos, Zira used her telekinetic abilities to shield the station, protecting everyone inside. When the dust settled, the hunter's fleet retreated, battered and broken. Cheers erupted aboard the station, but the victory felt bittersweet. Lives had been lost and scars would remain. Still, something greater had been achieved, a bond forged between species, built on trust and sacrifice. As Zira embraced her people, she turned to look at the crew one last time. "Thank you," she said softly, "for everything." Alex smiled, his voice filled with quiet pride. "We're just getting started." The shuttle raced through the darkness of space, its engines straining against the weight of fear and urgency. Behind them, the colony of New Horizon grew smaller and smaller until it vanished entirely, swallowed by the endless void. The betrayal weighed heavily on everyone, especially Zira. She sat silently in her seat, her glowing skin dimmed to a faint shimmer, a sign of sadness Alex had come to recognize. "We can't trust anyone," Jake muttered bitterly, his hands gripping the controls. "Not even supposed neutral colonies." Alex sighed, leaning back in his chair. "It's not about trust anymore. It's about survival. We have to find a way to end this, to stop running." Lily, who had been staring out the window, turned to face the group. "What if we fight back?" she suggested hesitantly. "I mean, we can't take them head on, but maybe there's another way." "Like what?" Jake snapped. "Throw rocks at their ships." "No," Lily said firmly, ignoring his sarcasm. "What if we send a message? Zira's people, her family, they might still be out there. If we can reach them, they could help us." Zira's eyes widened at the idea. For weeks, she had assumed she was alone, that everyone she loved was gone. But now, a spark of hope flickered within her. "You would do this?" she asked softly, her voice trembling. "You would try to find my people?" Mia smiled gently. "Of course. That's what friends do." Alex nodded, already thinking ahead. "We'll need to boost the signal somehow. Our equipment isn't strong enough to reach across such vast distances." "I can help," Zira offered quickly. "My kind, we use energy fields to communicate over long distances. If you give me access to your systems, I can amplify the signal." Jake raised an eyebrow skeptically. "Are you sure that's safe? What if something goes wrong?" "It will work," Zira insisted, her glow brightening with determination. "I promise." When they returned to their damaged station, the crew got to work immediately. Jake focused on repairing the transmitter, while Lily and Zira collaborated on integrating her energy field into the system. It wasn't easy. There were moments when sparks flew and circuits overloaded, but slowly the pieces came together. As the preparations continued, Alex took time to talk to Zira privately. They stood in the observation deck, staring out at the stars. "Do you really think they'll answer?" he asked quietly. Zira hesitated before answering. "I do not know, but I must believe they will. My people are survivors. If any of them are still alive, they will hear me." Alex placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Whatever happens, you're not alone anymore. You've got us." For the first time since meeting her, Alex saw Zira smile. A genuine, heartfelt smile that made her entire face light up. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." Finally, the day came. The transmitter hummed with power as Zira stepped forward, placing her hands on the console. Her skin began to glow brighter and brighter, pulsing in rhythm with the machine. Words poured out of her, not in English or any human language, but in melodic tones and shifting colors that filled the room with warmth. The crew watched in awe as the signal shot out into space, carried by both technology and Zira's unique abilities. For several tense minutes, nothing happened. Then suddenly, the monitors flickered to life. A message appeared, not in words, but in patterns of light and sound that matched Zira's own communication style. They answered. Lily exclaimed, tears welling up in her eyes. Zira's hands trembled as she touched the screen, her glow radiating pure joy. "It is them," she said breathlessly. "They are alive." The message was brief but clear. Asterisk, we hear you. We are coming, asterisk. Relief washed over the crew, but Alex remained cautious. "This isn't over yet," he reminded everyone. "The hunters will still be looking for us. We need to prepare for whatever comes next." Zira nodded, her expression resolute. "Together, we will face them. My people will stand with yours." As the station drifted silently among the stars, the crew felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had started as strangers, brought together by chance, but now they were bound by shared struggles and hope for the future. Whatever challenges lay ahead, one thing was certain: they were stronger together. The station was quiet after the attack, but the silence wasn't peaceful. It was heavy with exhaustion and fear. The crew sat around the main control room, their faces pale and drawn. Alex leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples as he stared at the monitors showing empty space. "We can't stay here," he said finally. "If they come back, we won't get lucky twice." Jake nodded, his usual sarcasm replaced by grim seriousness. "Yeah, no kidding. That cloaking system barely held together even with Zira's help. Next time, we're toast." Mia glanced at Zira, who sat quietly beside her. The alien girl's skin had returned to its normal faint shimmer, but her eyes were distant, lost in thought. "What about Earth?" Maya asked softly. "Can we call for help?" Alex shook his head. "Too risky. If word gets out about Zira, it'll cause a political mess. Or worse, someone might decide she's more valuable as a lab experiment than as a person." Lily frowned, tapping her pen against her notebook. "So what do we do? Just keep running?" "No," Alex said firmly. "There's a colony not far from here, New Horizon. They're independent, neutral. Maybe they'll take us in." Zira looked up suddenly, her glowing eyes wide with alarm. "No, too dangerous. They will find me there." "We don't have much choice," Alex replied gently. "We need repairs, supplies, and allies if we're going to survive. Besides, these people aren't like the ones who attacked you. They might be willing to help." After a long pause, Zira nodded reluctantly. "I trust you," she murmured, "but I am afraid." "Me too," Alex admitted with a small smile. "But we've made it this far. Let's see how far we can go." The journey to New Horizon took several days, during which the crew worked hard to prepare for the worst. Jake reinforced the shuttle's engines, while Lily fine-tuned the translator device, hoping to make communication with the colonists easier. Mia spent hours talking to Zira, teaching her more English and learning bits of Zira's language in return. Slowly, Zira began to open up, sharing stories of her homeworld, a place filled with glowing forests, singing rivers, and skies that shifted colors like a living painting. When they finally arrived at New Horizon, the sight of the colony brought mixed feelings. It was a sprawling settlement built into the side of a massive asteroid, its domes glowing warmly against the cold backdrop of space. As their shuttle docked, Governor Laura Hayes greeted them personally. She was a tall woman with sharp features and an air of authority, but her smile was kind. "Welcome to New Horizon," she said, extending a hand to Alex. "We don't get many visitors out here. What brings you so far from home?" Alex hesitated before answering. "We're looking for asylum, and maybe some help." Laura's gaze shifted to Zira, who stood slightly behind the group, her skin glowing softly. "This isn't human," Laura observed calmly. "Care to explain?" For the next hour, the crew told their story, from finding Zira on the moon to fleeing the hunters. Laura listened intently, her expression unreadable. When they finished, she sighed deeply. "You've walked into something bigger than yourselves," she said, "but I believe in helping those in need. You're welcome to stay, for now." Relief washed over the crew, but it was short-lived. Later that evening, Jake overheard two colonists arguing near the docks. "Did you hear? They'd brought an alien on board, One man whispered angrily, "What if it's dangerous? What if it's contagious?" "It's not it," Jake snapped, stepping forward. "Her name is Zira, and she saved our lives more times than I care to admit." The men scowled but didn't argue further. Still, Jake knew trouble was brewing. He reported the incident to Alex, who shared his concerns. "We need to be careful," Alex warned the group. "Not everyone here is going to welcome Zira with open arms." Despite the tension, the crew found moments of hope. Zira marveled at the colony's gardens, where plants grew under artificial sunlight. She laughed softly when a curious child reached out to touch her glowing skin, breaking the ice between her and the colonists. Slowly, some began to see her not as a threat, but as another being trying to survive. But betrayal came swiftly. One night, alarms blared across the colony. A message had been sent to the hunters, offering Zira in exchange for protection. The crew barely had time to scramble back to their shuttle before enemy ships appeared on the horizon. As they fled into the void once again, Zira turned to Alex, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Thank you," she said simply, "for believing in me." Alex smiled faintly. "We're not done yet. Not by a long shot." The enemy ships loomed closer, their jagged silhouettes cutting through the darkness of space like predators stalking prey. Back on the station, the crew worked frantically to activate the cloaking system, a piece of experimental technology that had never been tested under real pressure. Jake cursed under his breath as he rewired circuits, sweat dripping down his face despite the cool air. "This thing's a piece of junk," he muttered. "It might not even work." "It has to," Alex replied sharply, his eyes glued to the monitor showing the approaching fleet. "If it doesn't, we're done for." Lily hovered nearby, her tablet in hand, trying to track the movements of the enemy ships. "They're spreading out," she reported nervously. "Looks like they're searching for something or someone." Zira sat quietly in the corner of the control room, her skin glowing faintly with anxiety. She understood enough to know the hunters were here for her. Her hands trembled as she gripped the edges of her seat, guilt weighing heavily on her. "I should leave," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "They will not stop. You must let me go." Mia knelt beside her, shaking her head firmly. "No, we're not giving up on you. Not now, not ever." Alex glanced at Zira, his expression softening for a moment before returning to its usual focus. "She's right. We stick together. That's how we survive." Finally, after what felt like hours, the cloaking system hummed to life. The station shimmered briefly before disappearing entirely from view. A collective sigh of relief swept through the crew, but it was short-lived. Moments later, alarms blared as one of the enemy ships sent out drones to scan the area. "They've detected something," Lily said, her voice tight with panic. "The drones are heading straight for us." Jake slammed his fist against the console. "Of course they are. This stupid cloak can't block everything." "We need a distraction," Alex said quickly, already moving toward the door. "Jake, keep working on jamming their signals. Lily, try to disable those drones remotely. Mia, stay with Zira and make sure she's safe." "And what about you?" Jake demanded. "I'm taking the shuttle," Alex replied. "If I can draw their fire away from the station, it'll buy us time." Before anyone could argue, Alex was gone, climbing into the small shuttle docked outside the station. He launched it just as the first drone closed in, firing shots that narrowly missed the craft. The enemy ships turned their attention to the shuttle, chasing it deeper into the void. Back on the station, chaos reigned. Jake cursed loudly as he struggled to override the drone's programming, while Lily typed furiously on her tablet. "Got it," she exclaimed suddenly. One of the drones exploded in a burst of sparks, followed quickly by another. That should confuse them for a bit. Meanwhile, Zira stood up shakily, her glowing skin pulsing with determination. She raised her hands, focusing all her energy on creating an invisible barrier around the station. The effort made her wince, but she held firm, reinforcing the fragile cloaking field with her own power. "Zira, stop," Mia pleaded. "You're going to hurt yourself." "No," Zira said firmly, her voice stronger than before. "I protect you, like you protect me." For several tense minutes, the station remained hidden, shielded by both technology and Zira's strength. Finally, the enemy ships gave up their search, retreating into the distance. Exhausted, Zira collapsed into Mia's arms, her glow fading to a faint shimmer. When Alex returned, battered but alive, he found the crew gathered around Zira, who was slowly regaining her strength. Jake looked at her with newfound respect, his earlier skepticism replaced by grudging admiration. "Guess you're tougher than you look," he admitted gruffly. Zira managed a weak smile. "We are stronger together." No one argued with that. They had faced death and won, not because of weapons or shields, but because they refused to abandon each other. For the first time, Zira truly believed she wasn't alone. And maybe, just maybe, neither were the humans. Days turned into weeks aboard the research station, and Zira slowly began to adapt to her new surroundings. With Lily's translator device improving daily, communication between her and the crew grew clearer. The glowing patterns on Zira's skin became a kind of language, each hue and pulse carrying meaning. Through this, she revealed more about her people, how they lived in harmony with nature, their advanced technology powered by energy fields, and how they were hunted by those who feared their abilities. Despite these breakthroughs, not everyone was comfortable. Jake still kept his distance, watching Zira with wary eyes whenever she used her telekinetic powers. Once, when a tool floated toward her during repairs, he snapped, "We don't know what she's capable of. What if she loses control?" Alex stepped in, his voice firm but calm. "She hasn't given us any reason to doubt her. If anything, she's shown restraint." Mia added softly, "She's just trying to help. Remember, we're the ones who brought her here. She trusts us now." Jake didn't reply, but his scowl deepened. Still, even he couldn't ignore the moments when Zira proved her worth. One evening, while Alex worked on recalibrating the station's oxygen generator, a loose panel nearly fell on him. Before anyone could react, Zira raised her hand, stopping it midair. Her golden glow brightened as she gently guided the panel back into place. For the first time, Jake muttered a reluctant thanks. As trust grew, so did curiosity. Lily spent hours asking Zira questions about her homeworld, jotting down notes and sketching diagrams. She learned that Zira's species communicated not only through light, but also through vibrations in the air, soft hums and tones that conveyed emotion. Inspired, Lily upgraded the translator to include sound frequencies, making conversation smoother. Slowly, Zira began speaking broken English, piecing together words like a puzzle. One night, after dinner, Zira sat with Mia in the common area. Using both the translator and gestures, she described her family. A mother who taught her about plants that glowed in the dark, a father who built machines that sang, and a younger brother who loved to race through fields of bioluminescent grass. Her voice trembled as she admitted she didn't know if they were still alive. Mia reached out, placing a hand on Zira's shoulder. "We'll do everything we can to find them," she promised. Though she knew the odds were slim, her words seemed to comfort Zira, who nodded gratefully. But peace never lasts long in space. A routine scan of the system revealed something alarming. Several ships approaching at high speed. Their shapes were jagged and menacing, unmistakably belonging to the same faction that had destroyed Zira's vessel. Panic spread quickly among the crew. "We need to hide," Alex said, his tone urgent. "If they find her, they'll kill her, and probably us too." Jake groaned, running a hand through his hair. "Great, just great. This is exactly why I didn't want her here in the first place." Lily ignored him, focusing instead on Zira. "Do you recognize them? Are they the ones who attacked your ship?" Zira's skin dimmed, turning a dull gray, a sign of fear. She nodded slowly. "Yes, hunters. The gravity of the situation hit everyone at once. These weren't just enemies. They were relentless pursuers who wouldn't stop until Zero was dead. Alex turned to Mia. "How's she doing? Can she move?" "She's recovering," Maya replied, "but she's not ready for another fight." "Then we'll have to protect her," Alex said firmly. Turning to Jake, he added, "Start working on the cloaking system. We might be able to hide the station long enough for them to pass." Jake hesitated, then nodded. "Fine. But if this goes south, don't say I didn't warn you." As the crew sprang into action, Zero watched silently, her glowing eyes filled with worry. She understood enough to know danger was coming, and that these humans were risking everything to keep her safe. For the first time since arriving, she felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, she wasn't alone anymore. Back on their research station, the alien girl, whom they had started calling Zira, based on a faint sound she made when they first brought her aboard, lay in the medical bay. The room was small and sterile, with blinking monitors and shelves stocked with supplies. Maya stayed by her side, watching carefully as Zira's chest rose and fell with each shallow breath. Her shimmering skin seemed almost otherworldly under the bright lights, and her large, closed eyes gave no hint of what lay beneath. When Zira finally woke up, it wasn't peaceful. Her body jerked violently, knocking over a tray of instruments. Her glowing eyes snapped open, darting around the room in panic. Before anyone could calm her, objects began to float. A chair, a clipboard, even Mia's medical bag, all hovering in midair. Jake rushed into the room, his hands raised defensively. "What's happening?" he demanded, his voice tense. "She's scared," Maya said quickly, stepping closer despite the chaos. "We need to show her we're not going to hurt her." Alex appeared behind Jake, his expression calm but alert. "Mia's right. Stand down, Jake. Let her settle." Slowly, the floating objects dropped back to the floor. Zira curled into herself, her wide eyes fixed on the humans. She didn't speak. At least, not in a way they could understand. But her fear was clear. Mia knelt beside her, speaking softly. "It's okay. You're safe here." She pointed to herself. "Mia." Then she gestured to Alex and Jake, saying their names one by one. Zira tilted her head, studying them. After a moment, she touched her own chest and made a soft, melodic hum. It wasn't English, but the meaning was obvious. "My name is Zira *." Over the next few days, the crew worked hard to build trust. Lily spent hours observing Zira, fascinated by her biology. She noted how Zira's skin changed colors slightly depending on her mood, shifting from pale silver when calm to a faint gold when curious. Jake kept his distance, still skeptical about having an alien aboard, but even he couldn't deny that Zira seemed less like a threat and more like someone who needed help. Communication proved difficult at first. Zira tried mimicking their words, but her voice sounded strange, almost musical. Instead, she relied on gestures and facial expressions to get her point across. One day, Lily noticed something unusual. When Zira wanted water, she didn't just point to the bottle. Her skin glowed brighter near the object she desired. Intrigued, Lily grabbed her tablet and began jotting down notes. "Do you think that's how her people talk?" Lily asked Mia later. "Through light patterns." "It's possible," Maya replied thoughtfully. "If we can figure out what the patterns mean, maybe we can communicate better." Meanwhile, tensions simmered among the crew. Jake voiced his concerns during dinner one evening. "I get that she's hurt and alone, but we don't know anything about her species. What if she's dangerous? What if whoever attacked her ship comes looking for her?" Alex leaned back in his chair, his tone measured. "That's why we're being careful, but we also can't turn our backs on someone in need. Isn't that what makes us human?" Jake scowled but didn't argue further. Still, his unease lingered, palpable in every glance he gave Zira. Despite the tension, progress was made. Lily devised a rudimentary translator using colored lights and tones, inspired by Zira's glowing skin. When she tested it, Zira's face lit up with excitement. For the first time, real understanding passed between them. Through halting phrases and flashes of color, Zira shared fragments of her story. Her people were fleeing persecution when their ship was ambushed. She had been separated from her family during the attack. The revelation hit the crew hard. They realized Zira wasn't just a stranger. They were now her only connection to safety. And though none of them knew what challenges lay ahead, one thing became clear. Their lives had changed forever because of her. The moon was quiet, as it always had been. It orbited a distant gas giant far from Earth, a barren wasteland of gray dust and jagged rocks. The sky above was dark, dotted with stars that shone like cold pinpricks of light. But tonight, the silence was broken. A sleek alien spacecraft tore across the heavens, its hull glowing red-hot as it plummeted toward the surface. Explosions rippled along its frame, evidence of some unseen battle in the void. With a deafening crash, the ship slammed into the ground, sending plumes of dust soaring into the air. When the chaos settled, the wreckage lay scattered across the moon's surface. Pieces of twisted metal glinted faintly under the weak sunlight. Among the debris, something moved, a small figure, barely visible beneath the shadows. It was a girl, though not quite human. Her skin shimmered faintly, catching the dim light, and her large eyes were closed tight. Blood trickled from cuts on her arms and legs. She was unconscious but alive, her chest rising and falling in shallow breaths. Hours passed before anyone else arrived. A group of scavengers landed nearby, their own vessel battered and patched together. They picked through the ruins of the crashed ship, searching for anything valuable. When they found the girl lying motionless among the rubble, they paused. One of them knelt beside her, prodding her side with a gloved hand. "She's still breathing," he muttered, his voice muffled through his helmet. Another scavenger shrugged. "Doesn't matter. She won't last long out here." They left her where she lay, climbing back into their ship without a second glance. The girl didn't stir as their engines roared to life, and they disappeared into the blackness of space. Later, another ship descended onto the moon. This one was smaller and less advanced than the scavengers' craft, clearly built for exploration rather than combat. 4 humans stepped out, clad in simple suits designed to protect them from a harsh environment. Their leader, Alex Carter, scanned the area with a handheld device, his sharp eyes taking in every detail. Behind him came Mia Brooks, the medic, followed by Jake Monroe, the engineer, and Lily Harper, the biologist. "What are we even doing here?" Jake grumbled, kicking at a piece of debris. "This place is a graveyard. We're looking for mineral samples," Alex replied calmly. "And answers. Someone went to a lot of trouble to bring this ship down." As they moved deeper into the wreckage, Lily spotted something unusual. "Over here," she called, pointing toward the prone figure of the alien girl. The others hurried over, staring down at her with a mix of curiosity and unease. "She's different," Maya said softly, crouching beside the girl. She reached out hesitantly, checking for signs of life. "But she's hurt. Badly." Jake frowned, crossing his arms. "We don't know what she is or why she's here. Taking her with us could be dangerous." Alex glanced at him, then at Mia, who was already pulling supplies from her pack. "Dangerous or not, leaving her to die isn't an option." Mia nodded firmly. "She's just a kid. Whatever she is, she deserves a chance." Reluctantly, Jake helped lift the girl onto a stretcher while Lily documented the scene with her camera. As they carried her back to their ship, none of them realized how much their decision would change everything. For now, all they knew was that they had saved a life, and perhaps, unknowingly, taken the first step towards something far greater.